I remember in last year's draft when the Cleveland Browns selected Denzel Ward with the 4th overall pick, people's heads exploded. Everyone was saying, what are you doing drafting a corner that high? Bradley Chubb is still on the board, why not take him? And while Bradley Chubb is certainly great, and him being opposite Myles Garrett could definitely be beneficial, the fact of the matter is, the Browns don't really need another edge rusher. I mean, everyone could use another edge rusher, but they don't really need one. One thing they did need is secondary help, and Denzel Ward has certainly brought that. Like on this play, it is going to be a cover 2 zone. However, since there's an empty backfield, it looks like another defensive tackle is going to drop back into coverage as well. It is going to be a cover 2 zone, but since there's an empty backfield, another defensive tackle is going to drop back into coverage as well, meaning that now the Cleveland Browns have an extra man in coverage. This now means the windows are going to be a lot tighter. That's where Ward is on this play, and he's going to do a very good job at first, where he basically stays back and stays in his assigned zone and protects that flat. The Steelers do have a receiver who's out in that flat, so Ward is just making sure that he's not going to get open in any way. But now, worth noting, there is another Steeler open away from his zone right over there. That is a gap in coverage a little bit, but take a look at what Ward is going to do. He's keeping his eyes on Ben Roethlisberger. When you're playing zone, you want to make sure you constantly look over at the quarterback. Man, it's different. Man, you kind of just have to focus on your assigned man. But when it's zone, you do want to make sure you're constantly looking around and seeing who could be open around you. Ward does exactly that, and then is able to leap over and make an incredible catch for an interception. I mean, that's just great awareness there by Ward more than anything. That's just heads up football. Really, awareness is one of those things that can turn a good corner into a great corner, and Ward really is a great aware corner. Awareness is always key. Always check back at the quarterback. Now, you don't have to be staring at him, but always be looking around and knowing what's going on. Obviously, you can't be careless with it because that's how you get burned. However, you do want to make sure you are looking around as much as you possibly can. Like on this play, Pittsburgh is going to send 2 receivers in those routes right there on the bottom half of the screen, which should in theory force both of those 2 Browns to have to guard both of those 2 Steelers. This now means that if they both go deep, they can send another Pittsburgh player right through there who should be able to be wide open underneath them. This play then works out pretty well. Jesse James is decently open, and Ward is all the way over there. So the chances of him getting into this play are very slim. However, he does realize that the throw is going to James, so he's going to look in that direction. Typically, this wouldn't matter. However, sometimes it does matter. The ball ends up popping off of Jesse James' hands and basically goes right past him. If Ward wasn't paying attention and was running deep, he wouldn't have a chance on this ball. However, because he was paying attention and being very aware, he's able to run up and get the interception. Another thing I like about him is on a play like this, he's playing press coverage and his assigned receiver is running a go route, which you would think is going to be bad news for Ward. I mean, if you knew someone was running a go route, then you'd want to be playing a lot farther off. But because he is going to be running a go route and you are playing press coverage, this should allow a receiver to get open ahead of you pretty easily. But Ward has great acceleration, so he's able to quickly run back and make sure there's no separation going on whatsoever. So now if you see, there still is no separation, and Roethlisberger is still going to try to make the throw there, and probably because he just saw pre-snap that it's a go route against press coverage, so he said, hey, let's take a chance. But as of right now, Ward's playing pretty tight coverage, and another thing worth noting is that the Cleveland Browns do have a safety who's back right there, meaning that Roethlisberger can't just throw one deep and let it fly. He kind of has to throw it sort of around there. But in my opinion, this is where awareness comes in. Much like in zone, where you have to be very aware of where the quarterback is throwing the ball, when playing man, you have to be very aware of if the guy you're playing man coverage against is getting ready to jump up and try to make the catch. One thing you can kind of see, but not really too well because it is a little blurry, but the receiver has turned his head up to look for the ball. Ward looks over and he notices this as well. He knows the ball is coming pretty soon, so he's able to leap up and knock the ball away. Before you make a play on the ball, you have to be able to see the ball, and Ward did a great job of seeing the ball. I mean, this guy's a rookie, but he plays like a veteran. I know that's a cliche, but it really is true in Ward's case. I mean, that was really cliche though. I mean, I might as well say that he's going to be giving 110% every play too. I mean, Jesus. But anyways, moving on to his next play, and take a look at what's going to happen here. Once again, it's press coverage, because Ward does love press coverage. And much like last time, since you saw it was a go route against press coverage, this typically means that if you're a corner, you kind of have to break as far back as quickly as you possibly can. That's kind of the only way to combat that, and if you take a look at what New Orleans is going to be doing now, is they're going to be setting up as it's going to be the same thing. It's press coverage, then Michael Thomas is running as fast as he can to the left side of the screen, so that's where Ward is going to go as well. However, this isn't the go route, it's instead going to be a curl route, which should be bad news for Ward, right? I mean, if Ward's running as fast as he can to the left side of the screen, then when Michael Thomas cuts, Ward should just keep running by him, and Thomas should end up getting wide open. But notice what Ward is looking at. Ward is looking at Michael Thomas. He's basically saying, I'm going to follow Thomas wherever he goes. I don't need to look at the quarterback, I need to look at you. The second Thomas stops, he's able to come back, and it was still a completion, but that's mostly because Drew Brees is so accurate and Michael Thomas is so good. That's why you can't always look at the stat sheets, because sometimes weird things like that happen. I mean, the fact of the matter is, that's one of those examples of great coverage, but just better throw and better catch. You can't blame Ward for that one, and personally, I actually still give him credit for that one, even though it ended up as a completion. I mean, that was about as good of coverage as you can possibly get. One thing about Ward is he just really is so fast. I mean, he ran a 4.32 40-yard dash. He definitely has speed. Like on this play, that's where he is on the screen, and that jet is going to be the assigned man on this one, who's going to be breaking up to the top half of the screen. The concept on this one is pretty simple. I mean, it's basically just a foot race where if that jet can outrun Denzel Ward, he should be able to get open and pick up some yards. And if he can't outrun Ward, well then that's understandable because it's Ward. But that's sort of the idea behind the play. But if you notice, one bad thing is going to happen right off the bat for Ward. Another Browns defensive player kind of runs into his way, and Ward kind of has to get out of his way. When you talk about awareness, well, this is part of awareness. I mean, you have to watch where you're going if you're a defensive player. Ward's teammate didn't do a great job of that here. Now Ward is going to have to run around them, and it kind of creates an inadvertent rub route in a sense. It's now a foot race with a handicap, which should be good news for New York. As of right now, there are 3 Jets who are out to the top half of the screen who can make a block, and there's another Jet who's back farther who's ready to make a catch and try to pick up as many yards as possible. Naturally, after getting slowed down earlier in the play, your tendency would be to just run straight to the top half of the screen and maybe even run over to the farther down the field while going to the top half of the screen. The reason why you would do that is because you said, okay, I got slowed down, so now I'm not going to be able to make as good of a play as I wanted to, so I got to run up and just make sure I'm able to make a tackle. But Ward realizes there's plenty of Jets ready to block on the top half of the screen, and it's a lot easier to just run past them and then get to the guy who's going to have the ball. And as you see now, he also has the speed to get away with it, so it's not just an aware play, but it's an insanely athletic play as well. Now, one thing I do have to say is, as I mentioned in my mock draft video, I like corners who are a little bit taller, and Denzel Ward is a bit on the shorter side. I do personally think that while you can be effective being a small corner, it does create some more problems. Like on this one, he's playing press coverage on the bottom half of the screen with that Jet right there. As you see right now, what that New York Jet is doing is getting his right hand right there on Ward's left shoulder pad. From there, he's going to get his left arm onto Ward's right side of his body and basically just fling him to the bottom half of the screen. Now, Ward's going to complain and say, hey, why wasn't that a penalty? And honestly, it probably should have been. Ward does love to play press coverage, and he's not a big corner, and that can be a bad combination sometimes. I mean, press coverage is basically welcoming contact, and if you have a physical receiver, it can be bad news for Ward. There's one more thing he struggled with a little bit in his rookie season, and that was tackling. Like, if you take a look at this one, it's going to be man coverage on the top half of the screen. So basically what New York is going to do is have 2 receivers block those 2 Browns right there, and have a 3rd receiver break to the top half of the screen. So that's where Ward is here, and actually take a look at what's going to happen right off the bat. He's going to end up getting blocked by his assigned Jet, which actually isn't supposed to happen here. The Jet's trying to actually get over to try to get to that other Cleveland Brown. Ward was supposed to be left unblocked, as this was basically supposed to be a foot race between that receiver and Ward, but Ward was several steps closer to the bottom half of the screen than the receiver. So again, it's a foot race with a handicap, if you will. So because of that play, and I'm not sure if it was intentional by Ward or it just worked out, but either way it worked out, and now Ward is in great position to try to run over and make a tackle. The only problem is, he takes a poor angle. He runs too close to the receiver with the ball, and the receiver is able to just run around him and pick up a first down. It was a great start to a play by Ward, but it just wasn't a great finish. This one's another interesting one. It's going to be a play action where they're going to fake as though it's going to be run straight up there, which in theory will get those 3 Browns to all break to the right side of the screen. Then from there, Baltimore can send another receiver over the top of them, and hopefully he'll be able to get open. That's just the way the play is supposed to work on paper. This part isn't anything too fancy. I mean, this is basically just basic play action. You've seen this all the time. But now after the play develops, the receiver running to the bottom half of the screen just isn't going to be open. That Cleveland Brown did a very good job of making sure he didn't get fooled in the play action, and he got back to where he had to be, so good job by him. So now basically what Flacco has to do is hit the halfback right there for a check down. And we all know Flacco can't resist the check down, so that's where he's going to throw the ball to. Now Ward is all the way over there, so he has a lot of distance to cover if he is going to get to the halfback, but because he is so fast, he covers that distance almost instantly. I mean, that's an incredible athletic play. He was very far away, but he closed that gap and got right close to the halfback. Now he's in perfect position to make a tackle, but then he just doesn't even come close to making a tackle. Really, he just kind of got juked out there. He was expecting the halfback to run through the top half of the screen, and when he didn't, Ward had nowhere to go. I mean, I think Ward breaking in that closely still was a net positive and still helped the Browns out to a degree, but it could have helped him out more had he made a tackle there. And I know that's not exactly expert analysis. Oh, really, he could have helped him out more if he tackled him as opposed to if he didn't tackle him. Way to go, Jackson. Way to get some awesome analysis here. But I think it's worth mentioning that tackling is definitely something he struggled with, but that doesn't mean that he's awful at it. It just means that he sometimes struggles in those open field tackles, which are difficult, especially when you're a rookie player who just isn't used to playing in the NFL with those high quality talented players. He can find ways to get into the play and make some tackles though. Like on this one, it's going to be a cover 3 zone, and that's where he is on the screen. It's a blitz, so there's only going to be 6 guys in coverage, and since it's cover 3, this now means that there's only 3 Cleveland Browns who are going to be in the midfield. And since there is a Bengal running deep, this now means that Ward has has to back up and make sure he's playing that Bengal. But also, if you take a look at around the 37-yard line or so, the Bengal who could be trying to get open right over there is pretty open. There is a Brown somewhat in the area, but he can't really get over to try to make that play because it's just a tough play for him to make since he has so much field to cover. So now Ward really is the guy to watch here. He's going to have to break in, and because he didn't have to move laterally at all, he could just move straight forward to try to make a tackle. He's able to do exactly that. That's kind of where Ward struggles, is making a tackle while moving laterally. He can't really do that too well, at least at this point in his career. I personally fully expect that to be the main thing he tries to focus on next season. But on plays like that, clearly he can be very effective and make some very good tackles when necessary. Going back to the physicality one more time, I don't want to beat this drum too much, but I do want to bring it up because I do think it is important. He's playing press coverage on the bottom half of the screen, and take a look at what is going to end up happening here. Ward is actually going to try to initiate contact here. He's going to try to slow that receiver down, but because of this height and weight difference, he isn't really able to do too much. At this point, now he has to struggle to come back, and by doing that, he has to run all the way to the left side of the screen. Ward is truly a tremendous player. He's absolutely worth the 4th overall pick, and I fully expect Cleveland to be very happy with him for a very long time.